We're big.
We'll call the Property Management Committee to order. Thursday, September 24th, 2009. I appreciate everyone being here. I appreciate the opportunity to return as chairman once again to the property management. Do the best I can. And just like to say, I appreciate the very good job that Commissioner Hall has done heading this committee. It's a big chore. He's worked very hard and I think proved himself. If there were any doubts, which I didn't have any doubts, he definitely has proven himself since he's been on this commission.
Thanks.
At this time, ask our chaplain to lead us in prayer.
Let's bow, please. Our most gracious and heavenly Father, we humbly approach your throne this evening, God, just thanking you for an opportunity today to live for you, Father. Please bless us tonight as we are about the service of this county, Father, but may our public service be honorable and glorify your name in everything that we do, Father. Thank you for everybody that serves this county in whatever capacity it may be, Father, and may we always strive to do things in the right way that will honor and please you and to the betterment of the citizens and to the betterment of the kingdom of yours. It's in your Son's name that we pray. Amen.
The chair would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, first on the agenda we have the archives, deed of gift from the Shacklets. I just received this tonight, so I'll let Mr. Lodel from our archives explain this, if you will.
All right, I'll try to sum it up as best. It's been a year in progress to get this far. Many of you know or may not know that Shacklett's Photography, right over here on the square, has the best collection of historical images documenting Rutherford County and Murfreesboro and Rutherford County. The collection was produced and collected by Mr. Richard Shacklett, Bill and Gloria's father, during his lifespan. He was in business as a photographer from the late 30s through the 1980s into the 90s. And not only did he take photographs that entire time of our community and our people, but he collected photographs. So the collection itself actually represents the Civil War, when photography started, up through the 1980s and a little bit into the 1990s. After his passing, his children took over as proprietors, and you probably know that, Bill Shacklett and Gloria Shacklett Christie. And they are fully aware of the significance of this collection. And unfortunately for them, they have nowhere to house this collection. It's in the basement over here in Shacklett's, not climate controlled, not humidity controlled, has no control really. It's a basement. And the pictures are quickly deteriorating. We are talking, we do not have an exact count of photographs. We know it's about 60 boxes, what I would consider a record center box, full of historic negatives, mostly negatives, but also prints, images. Several tens of thousands of photographs, I'm sure, 10, 20,000, something like that. There again, Civil War through the 1980s, our people, our community, our towns. I think y'all get the point on that. They approached me, representing the Rutherford County Archives, because of the historical significance of the collection. I was approached about a year ago with a discussion of what could we do. From that point, we met with the mayor and said, let's play around a little bit this year. See, we brought in some photographs to the archives. We saw if we could, at the archives, myself and my very limited staff, if we could pull off a project of this magnitude. We called it a pilot project. We worked on about 100 images. We wanted to make sure that we could do the preservation, the physical preservation, get these things cleaned and get them into acid-free folders and boxes. We wanted to make sure that we knew that we could keep up with the technology of preservation of images, which means scanning, cataloging, the computer aspects of doing a collection of this magnitude. And then the other part is who was going to do the work. So we had several students and a couple small classes from TSU, the history department, as our labor force, and that worked beautifully well. It was a great community involvement between county and university, or county and community. So we, after the year, coming into the spring and early summer, decided that I think we can pull this off very beautifully. Where would the money come from? Grant money, a little bit of county money through my normal budget for preservation, but we can definitely go out after some big grants if this all goes as planned. So we came back to the mayor with his blessing and have been working with Jim Cope's office all summer on what is presented in front of you. A deed of gift is what an archivist would call what we need. They want to gift this collection of images to the county archives. In layman's terms, the contract needs to be signed by the mayor to protect the county and the county's legal responsibilities, and to protect Shacklets as well. This deed of gift is rather lengthy. It's 4 pages or so. But it spells out exactly what is expected of the county archives, what the Shacklets are actually giving, and what the Shacklets would retain. The biggest element of what they would retain, although they're physically giving us the images, they, because of the father would own the copyright, according to U.S. copyright law, for these images for a long period of time. And the initial concern I had with this coming to a part of county government is, how do we work around that? Because the only reason I would take this in is to make it accessible to the public. And that's the main reason Shacklets came to us. They said they're touring the basement, thousands of photographs to document our history, our community, and people need access to this. There is no access in our basement. So the agreement, which is in front of you, spells out the copyright. We can bring these into the archives. We can do the preservation that we know now that we can definitely handle. Of course, it'll take several years because there's so many of them, but we can definitely handle it in-house. And we can provide viewable accessibility to these images for our patrons, for the citizens of Rutherford County and beyond, but obviously our main focus is the citizens of Rutherford County. So anybody could come into the archives and view these images, research them, study them. You know, maybe they have a historic house and want pictures of it, and we happen to have them, they would be able to do that. Maybe we have a picture of their great aunt Mary or whatever. We would be able to provide images of that. So under the guise of fair use within the U.S. copyright law, we can definitely make this publicly accessible. Otherwise, there would be no reason to bring it into our public institution, our county government institution. What they would retain is copyright. So if somebody wanted to have a high-resolution print to put on a wall, or more importantly, if they wanted to produce a book of historical images of Murfreesboro, and we've had a couple produced in the past couple of years, so I think you know what I'm talking about, they would have to go back to the copyright owner. They would have to go back to Shacklets to seek that kind of copyright permission. So Jim Cope's office worked very diligently through the current copyright laws for the federal government and came up with this pretty beautiful deed of gift, which protects their copyright, their interests, and protects us. We would not be held liable if anything happened to the building while the pictures were there. We are not liable for any damage to a single negative, let alone the whole collection. So we're definitely protected there. And the other issue was who was going to insure the collection. If there is monetary value, who's going to insure it? The county couldn't take on that responsibility, and Shacklets can. So Shacklets will keep insurance on this collection, although it's not physically in their building. And that's very legal that we found out they can do that. So that's pretty much what's spelled out in this agreement. There again, Jim Cope and his staff worked very diligently to make sure that all of county government's interests and rights and responsibilities are protected. Cushions in there so that there wouldn't be any loopholes or something that somebody might come after us for copyright infringement. Well, no, they wrote it so beautifully well that people have to go to Shacklets to get that kind of permission. And there's no way they can walk out of the archives with a high resolution scan. Luckily, and we can definitely do the preservation work, we can provide scans they can view, but they will not be high resolution printable scans. If they want that kind of work, that kind of quality, they're going to have to go back to the owner, to Shacklets. So that's what the agreement spells out.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
what happened when the Shacklets pass from the scene?
Pass from the scene. The copyright's going to expire over time. The copyright would belong to the proprietors of the business, and if the business goes away, then there is no, according to copyright law, there is no proprietor of, I mean, it simply goes away.
But if they pass it on to other family members, we're still in the same agreement?
It would be still some agreement. It's still the same. They would own copyright. Somebody has to own the copyright, and if it goes to their heirs, then it's the same as working with the current copyright owners,
Well, we're not
Bill and Gloria.
be put in a position that we can't work with this without you having to run down to their business and get approval of this and approval of
I can
that.
work on this every day. Like I said, most of what this is going to do is allow our patrons, our community members, and beyond to walk in the front doors and do research, to study. According to fair use under federal law, which is right here on the first page, they can come in and use these images for nonprofit teaching, private study, scholarship, research. The media is welcome to look at these for satire, parody, commentary, and criticism, news reporting, etc. So all that's covered under federal law, and that's the main use of what our patrons have for this collection, and that's exactly what they do with the rest of our collections.
If we wanted to use, if we found some particularly interesting pictures that might relate to some of our departments around the county and even in the schools, we could put those pictures up in those buildings without their permission, or would we have to have their permission?
In that instance, I would have to have their permission, because anytime I'm going to want to reproduce high resolution, nice prints, picture quality prints for the wall, you're going to have to get permission from Shacklets Photography. But if you want to come into research, study, if we're going to use these in the schools to teach with the students themselves, all that falls under fair use. Fair use. What it protects Shacklets against is somebody coming in to the archive, getting a very nice resolution print, and then going and selling it on eBay and making $50 off of it.
So we could temporarily put things up in the schools or other department buildings?
We could, if you're using it with the students for educational purposes, yes, we can. If you wanted a nice print of the courthouse to go in the mayor's office permanently, we would have to seek permission from Shacklets.
Well, say we wanted to put up a display in the courthouse. We found some really interesting things, and we wanted to have a nice display down here for a month at the courthouse where people come through. We got
That's
that.
actually different. That would fall under the guise of exhibits, exhibition, and the Rutherford County Archives, with this agreement, has permission to exhibit the photographs. And that would mean nice high-resolution prints for an exhibit purpose. Meaning, for a month, if we want to do something for the birthday that's coming up in October, we could make an exhibit. And of course, the county archives, we do exhibits from time to time, so we could definitely use these images in that capacity. But that's different than if the mayor wants a beautiful print on his wall that's going to be there forever. We would have to get permission from
So for the
Shacklets.
temporary exhibits, we don't need their permission.
If it's, as long as it goes through the county archives, which would represent all the departments of the county in an exhibit fashion. Yes, sir.
Well, my last comment is, and unless I'm missing something here, watching what other communities have done and what people in other parts of the country have regretted, I would think that we would be seen as a group of ignoramuses if we sat here and watched the visual history of the county deteriorate before our eyes.
This helps in many capacities. There's another good reason to go to the county archives with something like this. It backs up our other collections. There's a whole series of aerial photographies. We have maps, the old maps of the county. GIS has the more current maps of the county through the 1970s and 80s. And for them, it would be another layer of imagery. So there's definitely contemporary uses. Before we even get into all the historical research and aspects of that, following the transition of this county, which is the fastest growing in the nation, at least it was before the recession, we can map things like that, so to speak, through imagery, pictures. So it has all kinds of capacities, and that's before we even get into the schools to educate. In many capacities, community outreach through schools, etc. If I could say one sentence, one statement about the significance, it's very simply to say the State Library and Archives, who knows the counties, who knows all the history of the state, They deemed this one of the 3 most important historical collections of images in the state. One of 3 in the state. So to let it sit in the basement over there would be a shame.
Mr. Chairman, for the purpose of discussion, I move we accept this deed of gift.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept this deed of gift.
I
Any more?
want to say that this is, I fully believe that. I wish I had time to go over there and look at it myself. Rutherford County should be sincerely grateful to the Shacklets for, first of all, to Mr. Shacklet for creating this collection, but then also for the Shacklets for sharing this collection. It is a tremendous resource for Rutherford County. Well, it's just invaluable.
Wish I had the time to volunteer one day a week to help you out.
Let me know. Give me a call. We'll be looking for volunteers.
I think I understood you to say, as long as the Shacklets stayed in business, that the copyright was in place. Now, if it's passed, eventually, if these go,
It
Passed down
follows
to
through
heirs.
the heirs of the business under the guise of proprietorship of the business. So it goes through the heirs. What happens over time, though, copyright, it changes. Right this second, copyright is images back to like 1927, but it changes every year. So eventually we will get to the point 50 years from now, plus that there is no copyright on this stuff. So
but they don't have to stay in business then for the copyright to stay in place. They just have to inherit it.
if it has to pass through inheritance. My understanding is the proprietorship of business, but it has to pass through inheritance. So if we're going to get way technical, maybe it could pass through heirs out of business. But regardless, we have full access to do what fair use of the images, and then obviously under this agreement, we would not lose contact with the copyright owner, especially under the fact that the copyright holder's name has to be on this document. If it changes, we have to go back and update this document.
Yes.
So we will not lose contact. Otherwise, we wouldn't get in a position, I don't think. Maybe I didn't address the original question initially. I don't see us ever getting in a position, even 50 years from now, that we wouldn't be able to contact the copyright holder to get other additional permissions that we need, because this has to be updated every time copyright owner changes.
Well, knowing the Shacklets that are in business now,
I
I don't.
This since 1938.
I don't foresee any problems with anything we need to do. They've always been very cooperative with everyone in this county, especially the government. And I just really appreciate the family.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, I'd like to ask my esteemed colleague to my right, being a lawyer of great wisdom,
Oh, here it comes.
can you think of anything, Commissioner, that should go in this deed of gift that might have been left out?
Yes, sir. It's very comprehensive, and I think it's fantastic.
There you have the words of Solomon, so I'll pass on.
Any more discussion?
Just one quick question under the rights retained by the donor. That second bullet, any and all commercial rights for donated images. What does that really mean?
Page 3.
Commercial rights would be things like making high resolutions. If somebody wanted a book, they're going to make money off of it, they need to go back through Shacklets to make a business agreement that would not constitute county government, because we're not here, we're not in business off these photographs. So that commercial rights is what business entity type of situations, which includes copyright, because money can be lost over copyright. Lawsuits happen over copyright. That's why Jim Copeland's office was very diligent to make sure that we are not responsible at all for copyright. If somebody needs copyright, they're going to do something and need copyright permission, like to reprint a picture, they have to go through the copyright owner. So, and that is clearly spelled out here, and there will be a sign at the Rutherford County Archives that also makes that statement. That statement's right here, right above that. We'll have a statement for the public to read, so they know full and well what they're doing, what the copyright law is.
Before the meeting, I saw Lisa Nolan out in the hall, and she mentioned that we need to get a value on this gift. because it is an asset, she'll have to put a value in the books. So,
Shacklett's has insurance on this collection currently, so they will have a value assigned to it, assessed to it
Insurance.
okay.
for insurance reasons. So it has an assessed value.
John, I want to compliment you since you've taken over all of this, that you've done it with enthusiasm, and every time we've had an opportunity to do something, you took the positive approach every time to try to find a way to do it. So I appreciate how you've approached the archive
Well,
job.
Thank you for your comments. I appreciate that. So that's what I'm here to do. Make it all work and serve the people of the county.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you all.
John.
Next on the agenda, we have the update for the clerk's building. It's coming right along. The pad's been set, building footings poured, geothermal wells are in place. Ran into quite a bit of old lines, like telephone lines and cable lines in the ground, and they've decided to leave everything in the ground except for what we actually disturb where the building is going to be. So that, I guess, has eliminated a problem that they ran into. It would have been a lot more expensive to dig all that back up. The sewage, the sewer lines were broken up. Smyrna put in new sewer lines, and we're tapping into the new lines. And they're putting a new manhole on the site. That's all I have on the building, unless anyone else has something to add. But it is moving right along. Still excited over the building of it. Hey, update from PBA.
This should be fairly simple. We are finishing up the paperwork on Lane Acre Park. The building is, of course, operational and occupied. Working out the final payment with the contractor. We tonight authorized payment. We did have a sprinkler head go off just before the contractor turned over the building to the owner, so we had some damage that the county has to pay for as part of the builder's risk. That was $1,774. And that was work we'd already accepted when that happened. Like I said, we're working on the final payment to the contractor. He's got a few items he's asked for that the city has kind of hit him at the last minute with some added plants here, a few things like that. And so we hope to have that finished up within about 2 weeks and paid and be done with that project. And then as far as anything else, I mean, the only really thing we have on our books right now is the Justice Center, which of course is just waiting for the economy to recover. So if anybody has any questions, I'll be glad to answer as best I can.
Any questions from the committee? Appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Give us an update.
All right. Good night.
Thanks. Okay, any other business? Okay,
I think there are a couple of meetings that are scheduled in the future, November and December both, are considered probably sort of holidays. Yeah, conflicting dates.
I
so
don't
there
have the dates yet
may be
from
a
Vicki,
need.
so you might want to do that next month.
Maybe a need for the committee to look at alternative dates and maybe come up with some next month. I think it's One of them may be like December 24th, that kind of thing, and the other one may be Thanksgiving Day.
The 27th
20,
of October, sorry.
the November one would be the 19th, so I think we'd be all right in November. And the third week of December would be the 24th.
I'm free.
I'm gonna be out of town the 19th.
Is everyone all right with leaving November 19th?
I won't be here.
Third.
Right now, it's planned that I won't be here. I gotta be in court.
I'm sorry.
If we got plenty of time, if December's the only one, I thought there was a conflict with November.
Okay, so just December meeting.
It looks like it.
Okay. I'll check into it and get some tentative dates back for our next meeting. Anything else? Okay.
Wait, you may be right. Do we meet on the 3rd or 4th? This is the 4th, right? Fourth Thursday?
Fourth Thursday.
Yeah, the
Fourth
4th,
Thursday.
you're right, Jeff. The 4th Thursday is the 26th of November.
That would be Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I had on,
I'm sorry.
that's what I had on my calendar. And then I think December is also would be the 24th, which is Christmas Eve, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
So that's how I looked at it. And the only reason I noticed it, Mr. Chairman, was I was looking at calendaring these meetings for the rest of the year and said, well, that's Thanksgiving and Christmas Eve both. So maybe by next month you can have some alternative dates for us.
Okay, we'll do that.
Mr. Chairman, some people have viewed commissioners as a bunch of turkeys, so I would hope that we would not accommodate them by meeting on Thanksgiving.
Is that anything
I agree.
Yeah.
I failed to welcome Commissioner Phillips as our new vice chair, and I didn't mean to slight him by any means. So, he is our new vice chair.
Don't feel slighted.
Another thing under other business, I just wanted to get an idea from the committee where you think we should be headed in this next year, what you plan on, or what you foresee this committee accomplishing, or what projects would you want us to address? Right now we have, I'm sure we'll still be talking about the jail addition, the judicial building. I'm sure we'll address some surplus properties, the county court clerk building being finished, and most likely the Weekly Road Convenience Center. Those are the only ones that came to my mind today. I don't know if any of you had a,
What's happening at the airport?
I was gonna bring that up next. John Black contacted me, and they're having a board meeting out November 7th, I believe. And they invited everybody off property management. They want us all to come out and have lunch with them and do a tour of the airport, kind of see where they're at and what they've got, kind of a presentation thing. I don't know if, scheduling wise, if any of y'all can make that work, but he did call me.
Okay.
I want to think he said noon.
Their meeting is normally noon.
Yeah. And basically be introduced and meet the board members out there, and they can get to know us a little bit better and do a tour of the airport and see what they've got going on out there for those of y'all that haven't seen it lately.
Do they have something on the radar that they want to start out there?
Not that he spoke of. I do know that they're getting a lot of interest out there since they got that roadway cut in for that business park. They get a lot of interest out there, and they have had several buildings that have just recently gotten finished out there that are pretty large developments. So I think they're pretty proud of them.
I was thinking I had read they got some stimulus money, or they were gonna get some stimulus money. I may have confused it with another story, but
Yeah.
seemed like I read that. Okay, so November 7th, we think 12 o'clock, tour of the airport. So we'll meet at John Black's office in the terminal.
Correct, the new terminal on the far side, and I guess if y'all, I can Chairman, you can take care of it, or I don't know. Since he contacted me, however you'd like to have it done.
I can give them a call and
Okay.
find out.
See if you can work it in.
Years ago,
November 7th.
Grant Kelly was chairman, and he assigned us all to different properties. And we was responsible to keep in touch with that property and see what went on with it. It's worked out real good.
Is that a Saturday?
Shouldn't be.
November 7th?
It wouldn't be. I may have the date wrong. I'm not doing good with dates tonight, but I've left it on my desk at the office. It is a Saturday the 7th, so it would not be that. Why don't I do this? I'll call him back in the morning. I've got his number here. I'll call him back and I'll contact each of y'all individually if you want. And I'll take care of it.
It will be in November, right?
Yes.
So we'll meet again.
Yeah.
Is this like a regular meeting of that board?
I figured you'd have
Could it be possible, if that could be, put back a week or so? And then after we met, possibly have our November meeting to follow that thing up? Just possible, just throwing something out, since we're looking for a date to change that.
You're saying ask them to change their meeting date?
I'm just throwing
I
out
understand.
a brainstorm. It might not be one,
So that we'd be able to meet after that. Okay.
Since ours has got to be changed.
but just as an alternative, maybe.
Okay. All right, anything else?
Another question, I'm not sure, being new in the commission, but the roadway projects we've done with Murfreesboro in the past, is that a committee process they go through when we've done that? Or is it Public Works? I wondered how it worked when they've done that.
Of course, if we had if we owned a piece of property involved, and that would come through here too, I guess. If it, involved a deed or anything like that, or easement, everything else about it would go through Public Works.
Just like getting the road paved in front of the archives, it took them forever.
No, it was a Public Works. I knew we were talking about it here, so that's what made me ask.
Sometimes other committees kind of put a little pressure on, or, stay in contact and ask the right questions and keep things moving. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's primarily that committee. Right. Anyone else? All right. Stand adjourned. Thank you.
Terrible dates.